And I am here with a presentation for the interpretive simulation that you will be using for this class, Human Resource Management. It is a part of your material for this class. So I am going to present the information that you need in order to be successful in the simulation. Now, there's going to be a lot of areas that I'm going to discuss in this simulation that you may not be aware of just yet, but as you go through the course in the different chapters, you will learn all of the information that you need in order to make effective decisions in this simulation. This simulation is an interactive human resource management approach to learning or applying the information or the material that you are going to learn in this class to a real life situation. This simulation involves um, feedback to you based on the decisions that you make, and we'll get more into that as we get through the simulation presentation. All right, so this simulation, you will be managing the human resources department of a mid-sized organization. Your CEO has given you a budget, and you are going to be making decisions in the area of staffing, compensation, training, and employee programs. These areas are your top human resource management areas that most organizations deal with. And as a human resource director, you will be making decisions in reference to these areas. Now, at the beginning of this simulation, you have to go through the startup, and the startup will begin with you selecting a name for your company. Now, this is a name that your team will be identified for. It will be you and a partner. And once you guys decide on a name, then you finalize that as your first startup decision. And then this will allow you access to the quarterly decisions that you will be making throughout the simulation. Now, your decisions start off with staffing decisions. Now, each quarter, you have to provide the right number of employees with the appropriate skills to meet the production goals of your organization. In this company, you have 5 different job levels from top management to production workers. Your job is to forecast the number of positions to fill each level that you have. You have to decide whether you want to hire from outside the company, which are external hires, or if you want to promote your employees from within. Now, promoting from within is a good thing. So sometimes you may decide that you have an employee that's doing a good job within the simulation, so you decide to promote them. You will also focus on the female and minority hiring targets to make sure that your company is being diverse. Now, your hiring costs are going to vary with each job level, and they are going to be charged against your budget. Now, in making your decisions, one thing you have to remember is that when you promote employees from within, you create job vacancies. That means when one employee is moved up in the company, that job that they previously held is now vacant, and you have to fill that position, whether you decide to move somebody from the outside in, or if you also promote somebody from the lower level up to that level. Now, when you make staffing decisions, you have to consider the difference that it costs in hiring and promoting, and you'll learn that information as you go through the text. Now, you will be competing for the same workforce as other firms in your industry. So as you make these decisions, the simulation is going to provide you feedback. When you now come to your compensation decisions, this is your wages and benefits. So compensation is basically what you pay your employees, benefits, what you give them, and you'll learn as you go through um, the chapter in your book on compensation or strategic pay plans and your benefits and services chapter, you'll understand that you have some benefits that are direct compensation and indirect compensation. And you have benefits that the government requires you to give, and you have benefits that you as a company can decide to give to your employees. But understand that each wage has to be set for each job level for each employee per quarter. Now, your payroll is calculated as wage times number of employees for each job level. And that's how we're going to calculate it as we go through this simulation. Now, your simulation provides you with a basic benefit package at the start of the simulation. Now, you get to choose to add vacation, health care, or any other benefit options that you decide to choose. Now, as you decide to add these different benefit options, understand that benefits can motivate employees. It can also um, engage employees into their job, make them feel better about their job. Their employee morale can increase. Um, but understand that benefit costs are a percent of your payroll, and all of this affects your budget, but it only affects your budget in the first quarter. So please keep that in mind. When you make these compensation decisions, as I said a minute ago, compensation changes can affect employee morale. So keep an eye on who you pay, how much raise you give. For instance, if you decide to give a blanket raise to everyone, the same amount, whether it's $100 raise, that can be a great decision. But what if you decide to give your upper management $1,000 raise and only give your lower employees $100 raise? If that happens, your simulation can actually show you how employees become disgruntled, they get upset, they don't want to produce, so now your production level goes down. So these decisions play a big part in how your employees produce for you in this simulation. This is one simulation that is very interactive, and it is going to cause you to really dig deep and learn this material so you can make the best decisions for your company. Next, you make training decisions. Now, anytime you hire someone, whether you hire them from outside or you hire them from within, you have to make sure that they are trained. So training for new hires and promotions helps them become productive quickly. The goal is for the employee to be productive so that they can produce for you, so that you can meet your goals and you can meet your budget every year. Now, when you hire managers or supervisors, they do benefit from having management training. Now, you do have to take into consideration that there are other programs that you can include for training, such as safety and accident. There's also one for sexual harassment, because in the simulation, you may be hit with an employee who says something about sexual harassment. You may have an incident of that nature. And in that case, then you need to make sure that all of your people know about sexual harassment. Now, in the simulation, you can allocate up to $80,000 to each of the training programs. But remember, they are charged against your budget every quarter. When making these training considerations, make sure that you coordinate hiring and promotions training with the staffing decisions that you make. Training can also reduce costs in the long run. But just because you're spending the maximum amount on training doesn't mean that you're going to get the best results for the money that you're spending. So always keep that in mind. You will have the opportunity to make some program decisions where you will have to select from a number of employee programs to improve your employee performance. So for instance, you have the option of having an employee participation program, a grievance program, an orientation program, a performance appraisal system, affirmative action program. If I use the example of a grievance procedure, if you were to implement something of that nature, that grievance program that you include can make the employees feel that you're listening to them. So in turn, if they feel that you're listening to them and that you care about their concerns, they may become more productive. So keep that in mind as you decide which programs that you want to include. Now, program costs are fixed, but they are charged against your budget each quarter. So keep in mind what you want to your employees to have. You will have special decisions that will arise. These are called incidents. And as you have them, they are many cases that describe an incident. And you have to look at this case along with your partner and choose the best response to the incident. And based on these incidents, you'll get feedback from the simulation of things that have occurred. And then when you get that feedback, it can help you make decisions as you go through your quarterly decisions. Now, some incidents may involve expenses that impact your budget. So keep in mind the decisions that you make, even in the incidents. For example, if you have a job analysis incident, you'll learn in your textbook that job analysis costs money. So depending on what type of job analysis you do, whether you're trying to find out how much, what type of work a specific position has in it, and you might go through surveys or whatever you might do in order to analyze the job, that's going to cost money. And so you have to determine which one is best for you. Decision analysis. So when entering your decisions for each quarter, and you'll have 10 decisions that you have to make, you can use these analysis tools to check yourself. So you have a staff analysis, a wage rate, a training, and a budget analysis. And it allows you to, after you make your decisions, to go in and see what impact your decisions have on everything, what it has on your budget. But there is no cost to using the analysis tools. So please use them, as it will make your decisions that much better. Reports, you will have a list of reports that you can look through each quarter, and it helps you monitor the performance of your employees. So it will have some staffing and some demographics to keep up with your female and your minority employees. Your compensation reports will let you know how much you're paying your people, what benefits you're giving them, how you compare to the industry, to the people outside of your company. Production, how your employees are producing, how much the unit cost of your product is. You'll notice in your simulation at the top right hand corner, you will be able to monitor your unit costs throughout the entire simulation. If that price gets way too high, it may be too high, and so therefore your customers may feel that it's too high, and therefore they don't buy it. Therefore, the demand for your product is low. And if the demand for your product is low, then that means that you may not need the number of employees that you may currently have in your company in order to meet that demand. So if your unit cost is low, and you have a high demand for your product, you may need more people. So you have to keep all of that in mind as you go through the simulation. And then your budget reports, your quarterly and your year-to-date spending by category, and how much budget remains for the year. Now, don't be a team that goes and spends everything. That's not what the simulation is about. It's about making smart decisions. When you measure the performance of your people, now you can go and look at the performance measures. It tracks changes in the performance and adjust your decisions for continual improvement. For instance, you can make a decision as far as giving raises. I gave an example previously where I said, if you choose to give your top management $1,000 raise, but give lower management $100 raise, there's a big discrepancy between that. Or your lower level employees $100 raise, there is a great discrepancy between the two amounts. So your lower level employees might get upset, and if they get upset, they're going to act that way even in the simulation. So they may start calling in So your absenteeism may be high, your turnover may be high, people may start quitting. You may have them filing a lot of grievances because they're not happy. Your accident rate can go up, but most importantly, the quality of your product can diminish because your people are not happy. And also the labor cost per unit, keep that in mind as well. Now, budgeting. As you're doing your budget, you have to monitor your spending by the categories that are listed here: your hiring costs, your cost of wage and benefits, your training, your incidents, your research survey expenses, your overtime and other expenses. You need to monitor your spending. Your budget needs to cover spending for the entire year, not just a single quarter. So if your CEO gives you $1 million, that $1 million is for a year. Now, if you have 4 quarters in that year, you have to split that up to make sure that you are not spending $1 million in your first quarter. And then what's going to happen with your next quarters? You're going to be suffering. You have some environment reports that you'll have access to. So you'll be learning about the labor market using these reports that you have, some newsletters, some wage surveys, so you can see what other companies are paying, so you can determine what's the right amount for you to pay your people, your training as well. Production surveys, which is a report that monitors productivity, quality, and the unit cost of your competitors, because you're competing. This is a real life simulation, so you're competing with everybody else in the class. So you'll see what's going on, and then of course your performance survey. Note that research surveys are only available in competitive industries and must be purchased to be viewed. So you won't have a research survey. So in order to be successful in human resource management, you have to remember these 3 things: set goals and create a plan to reach them. You have to set the goals and create a plan to reach the goals that you've set. You have to make decisions that are going to be consistent with your plan, and monitor the results and make adjustments as needed so that you can reach your goals. As it says on this slide, good luck in your new HR position. I am looking forward to everything that you learn from the simulation, and I pray that it is that it is very impactful on the material that you're learning for the next 16 weeks. Blessings to you.